Well, greetings. And
Good morning.
Here we are in Wednesbury, in the centre. We're in a Wetherspoons, and we've just done. Yeah, cheers, Phil. Thanks for that. A nice pale ale, and we've just done the two skits. The Gene Kelly singing in the rain, and or rather singing and dancing without a mask, and the Tommy Cooper. They both went really well, and I think people were a bit amazed really. Some people were laughing in it even as I was walking down the street. Okay, so here's Phil. You know Phil, he's been on a few of the clips on the Mark, and we initially met with his brother Gaz and Bob and Brown, an elderly gentleman who's a big avid reader and really clued up on what we're going through at the minute. We all met in Morrison's, and we tend to meet up and do our shopping. And I just thought I'd ask Phil to share a few things, and just feel led to speak as you feel led about the illness you had, if you want to touch on that, and how this whole situation has affected you, Phil.
Right, good morning. So it's actually 12 years ago, the end of this month, that I was admitted to the newsagents, the one with the big red cross. It was at the time when there was the so-called swine flu pandemic, and I started getting poorly at work and at home. Typical man flu, avoiding the doctors. I can sweat this out and it'll go in a few days like all those blokes do. It got worse, started losing my memory, my mind. Didn't know who people were. I was talking gobbledygook.
Was this blood poisoning?
Yeah.
You had?
Yeah.
And you've no idea where it came from?
The only thing, I don't like to point fingers, but looking back, when I came out the newsagents, when I was on the road to recovery, obviously I started thinking, well, where did it come from? I thought about, was it something in the garden? Did I cut myself? Something like that. It started as septicemia, basically. And the only thing I can think of, without pointing fingers, is a month or so before, or a few weeks, I'd had a tooth extraction.
Oh, right.
Now, I don't know, but I've heard of things like that in the past,
Yeah,
where
it could
people
have
have them
been
removed and they leaves a piece in your gum, and
Yeah.
it can cause an abscess or whatever. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it started off as septicemia, and I thought it was the flu. Sweating and in bed of a night, soaking wet, shaking as you do. So at the time, the old man, bless him, no longer with us, he was coming round every day to check on me, because obviously I wasn't at work after a week or so.
Yeah.
And I was telling my friends and my daughter and my girlfriend at the time, saying, don't come round, you know, you might have got the flu. This was before we was all a bit more clued up about things. You can catch things. I was saying, don't come round, I don't want to give it you. And they say, oh, you know, but I want to come round. I say, no. But my dad, he wouldn't say no. I'll be round every day without fail. And he did. And Gaz came a couple of times as well, I must admit. But I steadily got worse. And by the time I was admitted to the newsagents to buy a new magazine, I developed full-blown double pneumonia in both lungs.
Wow.
Because it had shut all my organs down, obviously, and moved into everywhere else. And it was luckily for me that my dad came back this particular Tuesday, I think it was, Tuesday dinner time. He came back to check on me because I just went into septic shock.
Oh, man.
Gone. So if nobody had come round, they'd probably found me the day after dead in the front room.
Yeah, that's
So I spent 5 weeks looking through the magazine rack, 5.5 weeks in the newsagents, on life support, on a ventilator.
Yeah.
So I know what that's all about. And just over 2 weeks I was actually in an induced coma.
Yeah.
So I don't remember nothing about that. When I woke up, obviously I didn't know where I was. And people had started to come to visit me. And I was diagnosed eventually with the Lemierre's syndrome, which is apparently a very, very rare disease, but pneumonia and septicemia as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, it took 5.5 weeks for me just to get out. They kept trying to sell me more magazines and more fags, and you know. Anyway, I got out, but I was like a little old man. I was probably about 9 stone wet.
And your muscles had all gone.
All gone, yeah. So I was like a little frail old
You
man.
had to have like
Yeah.
rehabilitate.
So I had to go and stop at mum and dad's for another 5.5 weeks.
Yeah, and they fed you up.
They
got you
fed me
back.
up, built me up, got me out walking every day.
Yeah.
And obviously at the time I was going back to the newsagents just to check on the latest releases. So they'd put me on the machine just to check how it was all going.
Yeah.
And they showed me, should we call them photographs, of what the damage was. And it was bad, but obviously it recovered to enough that I was back out again.
Yeah.
You know. But it's permanently damaged my lungs, totally.
So there's no way you could ever wear a muzzle, even if you wanted
No.
to, which you don't.
No,
but,
exactly.
But there's no way in a million years, with what you're being through, double pneumonia,
No,
that you want to endanger yourself in any way.
exactly.
And have there been understanding at work?
Yes, I can't say they haven't, because they've let me carry on with my job so far, with what I do as I am. Not saying too much about work and where I work and what I do, but it's dealing with the public.
Yeah.
So, hands-on, should we call it. So they want me to do that. They want me to have the serum. But obviously no.
Yeah.
One, I'm not having the serum because we know everybody knows what that's about nowadays, if you've done any research on it. But that, definitely not.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm falling into slavery, should you put it that way.
Yeah. And were you, before all this began with the ingrown toenails in 2020, would you say that you were very suspicious of all things media, government? You were somewhat of a truther already. Is that fair to say?
I think all of us who are here now, who can see, we've got one that can see, must have been rebellious to start with in life, and I think I always have. I hated school. I hated being told what to do. Don't say I was naughty, but I hated the fact that I couldn't be me and express myself. So I've always sort of hated that authority figure anyway, always. Because of the music I listened to at the time and still do. It was all anti-establishment, as it were.
Yeah.
So that made me that sort of person to start with.
Yeah.
I hold my hands up and admit that I fell for the one after 8 and the one after 10. I fell for that hook, line and sinker at the time because it was pumped through the propaganda box, just like this is now. But I think it was only 2016 that Gaz sent me a link to, I'll call it FE, for people that don't know or you want to look it up. Some of you might disagree, but it was that 5 years ago that woke me up to everything and everything that was going on with the way they were ruining Brexit. And I thought, I'll look back on everything then, all your different terrorisms, and obviously the one after 8 and the one after 10. I look back at that, started buying books, started watching videos, and it's all a lie.
And when this hit, your initial thoughts?
I knew it was a straight away.
Straight away?
Straight away.
And your brother Gaz was the same?
Straight away.
Straight away.
Yeah, as soon as they started announcing that it was in China, I think that was in December, off the top of my head, don't quote me on it. I remember being on the radio, just giving you these little breadcrumbs every now and then, that there's this so-called V started in China. I remember saying to the lady I worked with at work, Kerry, I said, this ain't right. I said, this is a load of nonsense. And I said, they're trying something here to scare the people like other hoaxes. Anyway, so, and then it spread to Italy, and obviously they really played on the Italy one. They, if you ask me, they killed the elderly there. That was intentional. But as soon as it spread to Italy and then other parts, and then you had the one first case in the UK, I thought, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
We've got to stop this now. But I thought the public of the UK, as soon as they started it in March, would say, having none of that.
Yeah.
No, why am I doing this and I'm doing that? I'm not going out, I'm not seeing my family, I'm not seeing my daughter, I'm not seeing my son, my mum, my dad, my grandparents. I'm giving up my job, I'm closing my business. Oh no.
We've all, in these days, bemoaned the reaction from the British public. My wife Janie, she was saying this morning how sad it is that we've been taken in so easily, the vast majority. Lee has commented on this over and over again. I've commented on it, and you're just saying the same thing. That it saddened us to find we are the 5%, if there is more.
It's so obvious, isn't it?
It is to us, but it's not to them, is it? And this is the sad thing. I mean, some countries we know have really suffered badly in this.
Canada, Australia.
New
Zealand,
and my sister's married to an ex-soldier. Basically, he has been in the forces mainly all his life, and after the Gulf War, he got a redundancy, but he went straight into an electrical teaching job because they like their own people in the army. So they've been stationed in Cyprus for a long time now, and next year they hope to come back. Well, it's over in that sense. They have to come back to the UK, and it's got so bad there that now you need a safety pass to obtain food from a supermarket. A safety pass, meaning you've either had the big V or you have had a test that proves for 3 days you're clear, and that means that thing shoving up your nose. And now this is very, very despotic, isn't it? Dangerous. There are Cypriot places that don't want to go along with this, and they've got no time to be checking people like the Stasi every time. They've got no time. They want to get on with the job and the work. So there are places to go. Anyway, back to your...
Well, only a quick one to end on. Just of note to everybody. Again, before I like to call it, I don't know, should we call it woke? When I was in the newsagents, when I was going back there for my subscription to the magazines every few weeks or every month for the little test, I remember asking one of the main doctors who was actually dealing with me. I went with my dad, and I asked him at the time, because my so-called immune system was so low, is it worth getting the one that sounds like down the loo jab? And he says no. He says I think you need to build your own immune system up. So I think that was probably the best words of advice I ever had 12 years ago.
Brilliant.
So if that's somebody in...
What's he telling them today? Hopefully.
But I bet he wouldn't tell them that now, like you say. So there you go.
And how are you coping personally, Phil, on a day-to-day basis with all of this? Like all of us, I guess you have your highs and lows.
Highs and lows. It hasn't really changed much for me because I've still got my family and friends who were close to me to start with, so that's nothing changed. We still see each other, wouldn't ever stop doing that. It's only work, and I don't really go out drinking to pubs anymore. I'd stopped that a couple of years ago. I tend to have a beer in the house, so that hasn't changed for me. So it's just been out in this strange surroundings with strange people now, shopping or whatever. That's the different part. Or at work, obviously dealing with customers who are terrified. That's the only thing that's changed to me. Me personally and the people around me, we're all the same. So that's good. That keeps me going.
Good. So any last thoughts to leave with the viewers? a last word you'd like to give to them, a thought to take away, or
Yeah.
I mean, Lee commented. He says he can't see this changing
No.
unless it's the unpredictable that will knock this evil cabal off its kilter. And to find what that
because like you say, they
unpredictable
know
thing is,
know the marches and everything.
Yeah.
That was predicted.
Yeah.
They know all that's
They
going to
know
happen. Yeah. So like you say, we need to find something. What? Something that's going to take them by surprise and bring it all out in the open. But what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so other members of your family, do they go along with this, or are you and Gaz the only?
Me and Gaz are the only two.
your daughter,
out of
innit?
my daughter and her mum. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my best friend, he's fine as well with it. He's okay. Like I say, girl at work, Kerry, she's a lioness.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, I've got people around me, which is good, and obviously met yourself and Lee and all the others.
It's great. It's great having Phil and Gaz along, and
And
Oliver
Lawrence,
Brown as well.
Yeah.
And so we'll leave it there then.
Yeah.
We'll say all the best and cheers. Everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
God bless.